Hello again, this is Dr. Greg Oliver at Fat Doctor TV, and bringing you another episode today. We're going to talk about some things that go on up in our mind here. I see patients on a daily basis for weight loss, weight management. I deal with it every day on my own too, as you know. And one of the things that happens, and we talked about excuses and excusitis on a previous episode, but sometimes this problem is a little deeper psychologically than just making excuses. I call it self-deception. There's some great literature out there on self-deception in many areas of our lives, from weight to relationships, things like that. So today we're going to talk about this self-deception that we use on ourselves. Let me tell you what happens. Patients and clients come into my office wanting to lose weight. They're sincere about it. They know they're overweight. They know it's affecting their health in many areas, heart and lungs and bones and joints, will shorten their life, things like that. And they know that they eat the wrong foods. But deep down inside, they've deceived themselves. There's that self-deception going on, that they really, truly, subconsciously believe that I'm big boned. I'm a naturally big person. I'm a large person. So carrying this extra weight is okay. Or my whole family is large, so naturally I'm going to be large. These are deceptions that we say to ourselves, and they become deeply ingrained in our subconscious over time. And then anytime we try to break those deceptions, our brain wants to bring us back to reality, its own reality. We can break those, however, and it's not that hard. The first realization is coming to the truth that we are deceiving ourselves. The other thing is that I have people who come in all the time and say, I'm allergic to soy protein. Well, they're not truly allergic to it. Maybe they don't like it, or maybe they took it one time and got a little upset stomach. I have patients who come in and say, I can't eat proteins. And we know that's not true. But in their mind, they've had a bad experience, and so they've created this self-deception that the reason that I eat all these carbohydrates in high quantities is because I just can't eat proteins. I have other patients who come in and say they can't eat vegetables. They're allergic to vegetables. Now, you and I would say, well, that's just a lie. That's not true. But deep down inside that person's mind, they believe it. They believe that truly I'm allergic to vegetables. Now, maybe there are some vegetables that they can't tolerate. Maybe there are some vegetables that they can't eat. And maybe there are just some vegetables they don't like. And who knows why? Maybe when they're a child, their parents forced them to eat the vegetables. We all know how that is. You're not getting up from the table until you eat those vegetables. You're not going to get your dessert until you eat those vegetables. So vegetables may have had a bad connotation throughout their life, and so now deep inside the subconscious mind, I can't do vegetables. So a big part of getting control of your health and losing weight and keeping it off is changing the deceptions that we've created inside our mind. The other thing that happens when we do self-deception is that we now have to justify the self-deception. Let me explain this in relationship to relationships. Recently read a book called Leadership and Self-Deception, a classic. It's an incredible book. If you get a chance to read it, it's fantastic, especially if you're in business, but also as it relates to our relationships with other people. So let's say that someone in your life, someone you care about deeply, mistreats you, says something wrong, and then suddenly you say this to yourself: this person always does that. They always say this, or they always treat me that way. You have now created a deception, because truthfully, we know they don't always do it. Nobody always does anything. But you've now created this deception about this person in your mind. And now the rest of the day, and you know what happens, your brain comes up with all of the ammunition to justify why that person always does that to you. You start stacking up all these things that they've done in the past. It may have only been 2 or 3 or 4 things, but it seems like now I have to justify that they always do that. So when our brain slips into self-deception and starts believing that that's a truth, then we have to justify it. Now let's go back to weight loss. When we believe from a self-deception that our bones are too big, then we have to come up with reasons to justify staying big. You know, like I'll have the full slab of ribs instead of the half slab of ribs. Because I'm big boned, I can handle that. Now, we don't consciously think of those things. It's all in our subconscious mind, but that's exactly what happens. The other thing, well, instead of one dip of ice cream, I am a big bone person. I can have two. I can handle it. Those are the kind of things that our brain goes through when we're deceiving ourselves. So how do you break the cycle of self-deception and justification? Well, the most important thing you have to do is realize you're doing it. You know, once we realize that we're actually creating deceptions in our mind that justify why we live our life the way we live, in this case, overweight, overfat, and in an unhealthy state, then if we can realize that when we say those things, whether it's out loud or quietly in our own mind talking to ourselves, and we can stop in our tracks and say to ourselves, your name, like Greg, that's not true, that's a deception. Now, here's the problem. Sometimes it's emotional, and we want to justify those emotions too. But if we can stop for a moment and realize that when I say to myself, I'm a big bone person, so therefore I can justify eating more food, if we say, you know what, that's really not true. My bones are no bigger than anybody else's, and my height, oh, give or take a micron or two. But the truth of the matter is that your height-weight ratio, BMI, pretty much established, and your bones didn't get bigger than your neighbors, your bones didn't happen to get larger than somebody else's, unless you have some disease like acromegaly or gigantism, which I doubt you do. So you have to stop yourselves when you hear yourself saying that, whether it's subconsciously, quietly in your mind, or whether you're actually saying that to someone like your doctor, which I hear every day. Well, doc, you don't understand. I'm a pretty big bone person, and everybody in my family has large bones and are big people. Therefore, it's okay that I'm 75 pounds overweight. That's not true. And I tell them that, and they don't want to believe me because deep inside, they've kept that truism about themselves over the years to themselves, and it's now become a full belief. But you can change your beliefs. That's important. And how do you do it? By telling yourself the truth, saying inside yourself, you know, I'm overweight, I'm overfat. You know, I am a large person, but I want to be smaller, and I'm going to work in that direction so that my BMI is the correct BMI, so that I get myself down under 30, under that obese state, and closer towards 25, 24, 23 on the BMI scale. If you haven't looked at a BMI scale, look it up. You can certainly see it in one of our programs, the Lean 13 or the Lean 15 or Lean 3 program. We'd be glad to share that with you. But today I wanted to go over these deceiving things we do to ourselves, and then the justifications that we come up with to live our lives in a way that we're not really happy with. So take a moment, maybe even write down the things that you deceive yourself about, those things that you say, well, the reason I eat this is because I'm allergic to that, or I can't eat this. Listen, if you have an allergy, if you're truly allergic to something, go get it checked out, get it tested, and make sure you never eat that again. That's important. But don't just tell yourself, I have this allergy because once I got diarrhea with it, or once I got a little upset stomach or a cramp with it. Here's the truth. Most people who eat carbohydrates at high volumes, who eat junk food on a regular basis, when they do eat something healthy like broccoli or asparagus, they don't feel so good for a while because that's high fiber, and they may feel bloated, they may feel crampy. Their body's not used to it, so it does take time to adjust back to a healthy diet. We all know if we go on an eating binge, if we go on junk food binge, we feel miserable within a few days. Well, the truth is when you switch back to healthy eating, it takes a little bit of time for your body to adjust, say 2 or 3 days. So you'll feel great once you do that. So let's stop self-deception in its tracks. Let's think for a moment why we're where we're at. Yeah, it's because we eat the wrong foods in the wrong quantities at the wrong times. And let's turn this around. Let's get rid of self-deception. Let's be at peace in our mind so we're not lying to ourselves and we're not living a life of lies. And let's get ourselves into a fit, healthy state and live the rest of our lives without self-deception. So that's Dr. Greg Oliver today. I'm excited to be with you once again on Fat Doctor TV. Hope you're enjoying the episodes. Also, if there's something you'd like us to research, talk about, give you some information about online, let us know, send us a comment, and we'd be happy to review that with you. We're always excited to get questions about things on our Fat Doctor TV website. Coming soon is going to be the Thinner Minute with Coach Raquel and Coach Caitlin. So look for the Thinner Minute coming your way. See you again next time on Fat Doctor TV, and I hope to see less of you then. Have a great day.